we think about measuring that success, how are we connecting lessons to learning to action from a business perspective?
For our leadership development program, that is our biggest program that we do a program evaluation on. It's taken many years to try to turn the perception of just needing to look at like the butts and seats, which is not really an accurate measurement of growth. There's been needing to advocate for that and get individuals to understand that this program is stable, it is mature. We have demonstrated sustainability for the last decade. We have a pre and post assessment measure set up. So with a pre and post assessment measure, we can identify the competency growth from the beginning to the end, especially when we aggregate it to the broad competency itself versus the itemized questions. And then we can even aggregate it across the entire program itself. So the program itself has actually shown both practical and statistical significance growth, which is quite cool. The only monetary funding that we get for this program that is actually easily trackable is our contracts for in-person deliveries. So what we've been able to do is utilizing the data that's in our LLMS to see how many training opportunities in average over this period of time does someone attend. And we use that number to go, okay, so if our contract is $1,000, let's say people are attending 2 trainings on average, and there are 10 people in the program. So dividing 1,000 by 20 equals how much it costs to send each person per training. That gets us our butts and seats contractual investment. And then what we have done is multiplied the average number by how many trainings that individuals on average attend. If they attend 2, we can say that with your investment of $100 per this program that they're in, this is the growth that your investment dollars have kind of helped make happen.
How are you connecting that to whether or not the leadership development program has had impact on the business?
So it's a behavioral post-assessment on frequency. So we can show that individuals have moved to maybe doing these behaviors once a week to doing them on average 3 or more times a week or daily. And yeah, behavioral response doesn't get deeper than that until we do our follow-up. It takes their supervisor's perception of their growth 6 months later, in addition to what sustained growth have you seen 6 months after you've exited the program. Some people have illustrated that they have had responsibility growth, that they have had a job change that has occurred from it because they were getting groomed while they were in the program. It took many years to getting to this place in which the program evaluation is at. However, in L&D, we know one of the first areas to get cut when there's budget constraints is L&D. So by trying to substantiate this program is trying to ensure that for the long term, it stays.
How do you handle the fact that the training may have impacted that number, but there's probably other things impacting that number? How do you handle that?
This falls within the needs analysis. So when you've got your analysis document that goes to the business sponsor, you say, this training is going to impact XYZ along with the change in leadership, the rollout of a new process, the installation of Salesforce.com. When you have 1 + 1 + 1, this equals 3. So while we're not claiming full credit for success, you can say, well, we said that this would happen if the Salesforce.com rollout occurred the way that it was supposed to. That didn't happen. So subsequently, we didn't see the success that we should have had. You put that all in your analysis or your instructional design document, right? Where you're analyzing all of the different risks that go along with the training program. And this is where you say certain things are contingent or they're prerequisites.
It's important to set the expectations of what we want. Sometimes people just want to do training because they think it's the answer. And so setting those expectations and really challenging them and saying, how do I know this is going to work, really gets the managers thinking. It's mostly managers and directors that come to me for training. In cases where I know it can be an impact, where I know that there will be data, I really push to get those reports, to get the data. What is it now? How then after the training, what is it? It is a challenge though, because some people think I should just create the training and not ask those questions.
This is where sometimes where we conflate the training needs analysis with the evaluating impact. The training needs analysis is determining whether or not we should be doing this training in the first place. The evaluating impact is the latter part of that. So if we do decide that this training is something we need to do on some scope or level, then how are we going to evaluate whether or not it actually had success within the organization? Compliance, right? We all have safety classes. Okay, so now what's the business impact?
I do the emergency response training for a large utility company. We've got 400 upper management employees or management employees who need to be able to implement our emergency response plan. We work backwards. When they walk out of there, what do they need to know when they walk out of here? What are the most important things they need? We started out doing pre-post test, found out that didn't work because our training department, for lack of a better way of saying, was probably a little too lazy to do the real true follow through to get the comparison between the pre and post. So they weren't following up and doing what should be done. So what we did is we went to a pre-introduction. This year, we actually have our president of our company giving an introduction to the group to tell them how important this is to the company and to them and to our customers. And then what we do is we have the training and we have a post assessment, but then we also do a survey, a 2-part survey. The first 8 questions of a 12-question survey are, the old, 1 through 5, satisfactory, excellent type of thing. And then the last 4 questions we use are open-ended questions where they have to actually fill in what it is that they either gained from, what can we do to improve and all that. We really do look at working that thing backwards.
This is the way any training program should be handled, reverse engineering it and beginning with the end in mind. So when you've got those two things together, the propensity for success increases. And that's what we're looking for. You see greater growth, right, in people. You see them moving up within the organization. You see retention numbers, are lower than they might have been in the past, right? And so those are all business matrix that we can attribute to any training program that we put out. It's just a matter of planning it at the very beginning.